Hello and welcome to Immigrant Magazine Weekly. This is a somber edition about a crisis that is taking place, a humanitarian crisis that is taking place right now as I am talking to you. So let's pay attention. Kim Kardashian West, Paulina Aguirre, Yasmine Al Massri, and Lawrence Zarian are some of the names that have lent their support to fight against the ongoing ethnic cleansing and crimes against humanity taking place right now against the people of Armenia and Artsakh by Azerbaijan and Turkey. My guest today, Vic Gerami, is a journalist of Armenian descent, a columnist, media commentator, and the host of his primetime program, The Blunt Post with Vic, on Independent Progressive Radio KPFK 90.7 FM, Pacifica Network. He will help us understand the origins of this decades-long conflict and how we can be a part of the solution. As always, I implore you to join us and also to like us and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because these are the kinds of stories that on Team TV we aim to bring to you to enlighten you about what is going on, good or bad. Stay tuned, be sure to ring the notification bell so that you will be notified every time we have such important conversation. So let me introduce to you Mr. Vic Gerami. Welcome to the show, Vic.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. You're on KPFK 90.7 FM and so am I.
Yes.
We've done an interview before with you and I'm really happy that you are able to join me today.
It's my pleasure. We're in the same KPFK family.
Absolutely. However, my interview today with you is on a somber story that I am not really happy, but I'm glad that we had the opportunity to bring it to the world's attention. You know, anyhow, anything we can do to create awareness about this crisis, right?
Yeah, it's much appreciated that you're doing this because it's not being covered enough in the press, and we need to focus a little bit on it because people are dying as we speak.
Okay. But let me tell you this. First of all, most people don't know that this is ongoing. Some
Sure.
of us had heard about the crisis in Armenia, the genocide, and we already put it behind our heads because there's so much going on in the world. And so I'm really happy that you are drawing our attention to it. So first of all, tell us a little bit about the people of the Armenian and the Artsakh. And it's so funny, when I was doing my research, I came across different names. And I was like, Nagorno, I was like, who is who? So it's a lot to dissect and to get to understand.
It's a lot.
Let's take this one-on-one. Who are these people? Tell us.
I'll give you the simple version. So first of all, it's totally appropriate for most people to have never heard of Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh. Mm-hmm. So it's understandable. Armenia itself is such a small country. It's a tiny country of barely 3 million, part of the old Soviet Union. It's a former republic of the Soviet Union.
Okay.
So basically, Artsakh, which is also called Nagorno-Karabakh, it's the Soviet name that was given to it, but its authentic real name is Artsakh.
Okay.
Has been a part of Armenia for millennia. In 1921, after the Bolshevik Revolution, Stalin, arbitrarily, when he was divvying up lands, he put Artsakh, the eastern part of Armenia, under the control of the Azerbaijani Soviet Union, right? And it was also partly to appease Turkey. Now, at the time, it wasn't that big of a deal because all the 13 republics were under the Soviet umbrella anyway, including Armenia. But through decades in the 20th century, Armenians of Artsakh constantly appealed to Kremlin to reconnect with Armenia, but nothing ever came of it. And toward the end of the 80s, they finally said, we're going to declare our independence. We have the right to our own autonomy, our own independence, as do all other people in the world. And this was not taken well by Azerbaijan, of course, and they declared a war on Artsakh, which lasted from 88 to 94. when there was finally a ceasefire brokered by Russia. And so the inhabitants of Artsakh are Armenian. If anyone goes to Artsakh, all you see are monasteries and churches and other monuments that are hundreds and some thousands years old. So there's no question as to who lives there, who's lived there, and its history. So the ceasefire sort of was very volatile from '94 until this year. And this year there was a 6-day war that happened, and everyone thought this could be the end of it, except for what we didn't know, and we know now, that for 1 year, the government of Azerbaijan and its dictator Aliyev were planning to attack Artsakh with the help of Turkey and its dictator Erdogan, who's created so many problems in the region with Cyprus and Greece and other countries. So on September 27th, they attacked Artsakh. Not only Azerbaijani army and Turkish army, but also they brought jihadis mercenaries that are ISIS. Some are Syrian mercenaries, Libyan, and even Pakistani. And some of them who have been captured since have been interviewed and have said that they were promised $2,000 a month plus $100 for each Armenian beheaded. And there are videos that were posted on Azerbaijani Facebook pages that were taken by Azerbaijani soldiers. They're beheading captured soldiers. And you can imagine how wrong that is and how it's against every international and United Nations laws. So, you know, you have Armenia helping Artsakh to just hold them back, but you're dealing with Turkey with a population of 80 million, Azerbaijan 10 million, plus mercenaries coming in from different parts of the Middle East. Turkey is a very powerful country. Azerbaijan is very oil rich, and they are both very much entangled with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a lot of interest in both countries, has power. While building one in Azerbaijan, has two in Turkey. We now know of a lot of sort of shady deals that have happened. One of the reasons why Donald Trump has not intervened or done anything about it. So they are people of Artsakh, Armenians of Artsakh, about 60% have fled the country. The rest are in shelters. They are being shelled mercilessly all day and all night by cluster bombs, which are illegal, they're banned. And last couple of days, they are being phosphorus chemicals are being sort of blown up the air like fireworks, and they come down on villages and just burn them.
Wow, I mean, I just have to say this is really chilling, because I saw a video just before the interview, just before coming to this interview with you. I saw a testimony from one of the captured terrorists saying that he had been paid and promised a certain salary monthly for every head that he would behead. This is chilling.
Yes.
So the question for me now is, how did it go from trying to hold on to a territory to becoming sort of an ethnic cleansing? That's the part. Are we feeling that if we just behead all the Armenians in Artsakh, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Is that the goal? Then we will get rid of what?
Well,
What's the ultimate goal there with Azerbaijan
part
and
of it
Turkey?
is a larger plan of Erdogan, of Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
of his Turkic, pan-Turkic ambitions, which is connecting all the Turkic countries that are underneath Russia, and which includes Turkey, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. What's separating that line is a thin sliver of country called Armenia with 3 million people. Okay? This war is also a proxy war for Turkey, for Erdogan.
Mm-hmm.
He's using this war, egging on Azerbaijan. This is a continuation of a lot of resentments that after 105 years since the Armenian genocide, the Armenians have continued to press for the recognition of it. And of course, last year, for the first time, the House of Representatives passed the Armenian Genocide Resolution Act almost unanimously. Only 11 members of the House did not, they stayed. And most of them were part of the Turkish Congressional Caucus, which was expected. And then it went through the Senate unanimously. So finally, the House and the Senate both recognized the genocide, which has been recognized by over 30 countries, including France and Russia and Italy, as well as the Vatican and European Union. So Erdogan has kind of a resentment that Armenians have been able to do this. Mm-hmm. And he is supplying Azerbaijan with a limitless supply of ammunition, guns and weaponry and money and resources. And he's the one that's paying for these mercenaries to come. So it's a much bigger picture of pan-Turkic ambitions.
So there was this ceasefire that just, I think last week, fell through. What triggered that, or was it never really a strong ceasefire?
No, the Azerbaijani side, so the first two were by Russia, they're brokered by Russia. So the Azerbaijani side basically comes to the table and says, oh, sure, absolutely. Azerbaijani side basically comes to the table and says, oh, sure, we'll abide by the ceasefire and we'll do everything you tell us to do. And within minutes of when it's supposed to start, they break it. They have no intention of doing it. The third ceasefire was brokered by President Trump, which it didn't do anything, especially when you read articles by New York Times and Mother Jones about the ties and all the background deals that happened between Trump and the two presidents of Azerbaijan and Turkey. You know that this is all just showmanship, and some of that showmanship has been for the sake of getting the Armenian American vote in the US for Trump, which it's absurd. I mean, I hope that he doesn't get anyone's vote. So that's that. And there was a fourth ceasefire, which again was brokered by the OSCE group, which is the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It was not a ceasefire, it was more of an agreement to not target civilians. But Azerbaijan did just that. I mean, they are targeting civilians directly. They are basically breaking down the entire country's infrastructure. They have destroyed dozens of schools and hospitals and maternity hospitals and old churches and cathedrals that have been around for over 1,000 years. So they're basically saying, if we can't capture it, we're going to destroy the whole thing. And that's what they're doing.
Wow.
And President Macron of France has been the only steadfast and firm leader who has taken a stand and said, we're going to sanction Turkey and Azerbaijan, and this has to stop.
Everyone else. Sorry, I just wanted to chime in there. President Macron, the US, what has the United Nations done to try to intervene? Nothing.
The president of the United Nations General Assembly is a friend of Erdogan, and he's a Turkish citizen. So, I mean, not that one person can't be from the same country and be impartial, but in this case he is. United Nations has done nothing. And what's really frustrating is so many leaders, so many presidents and prime ministers and such have issued statements of condemnation. But what they do is they try to appease to both Turkey and Azerbaijan by making it sound like it's like a both sides kind of a thing, quote unquote, both sides. Right. It's these statements that say, we want both sides to put down their guns and such. And it's really frustrating because Artsakh is so tiny. All of Artsakh is 150,000 people and Armenia is 3 million. its power against Turkey and Azerbaijan is minuscule. So why would they start anything themselves? You know, it's like an ant going to kick an elephant. So I finally, after talking to press and after sort of rebuttaling with members of press who, some of them have done a really bad job of looking into this, I finally started this analogy that I've been telling them is, let's say you're a social worker and you go to the home of a battered woman and an abusive husband, right? A wife beater and a battered woman. You don't put them, you don't sit them both down and say, I would like both of you to put your fists down, right? I mean, that not only doesn't do anything, but it actually emboldens the husband, who's the abuser, because all of a sudden the wife has 50% stake at this,
right,
or fault. It's very frustrating. There's been just a lot of biased press like that, or just press that were lazy and didn't really look into the history. So, you know, it's kind of like getting press to be even interested in something that's happening halfway around the world is difficult, but getting them to actually write something that's the truth, just the truth.
You know, Vic,
harder.
As I watched that video that I watched just before getting on with you, there's this other aspect of the religion. Is it part of Turkey's ambition in that, like what we explained about trying to create this region, a Turkic region? Right. What does religion have to do? Because they talk about the believers and the non-believers, and I know the Armenians are mostly Christian, right? And of course, the Artsakhis, is how you call them, are also, the people of Artsakh, are they also Christian? What is it about the believers and the non-believers? I'm just trying to get our audience to understand it, because there's so much going on that you don't even understand. Is it about a region? Is it about religion? What is it about fundamentally?
It's about both. It's about both.
Okay.
It's about land, but it's also one of the motivators, and one of the motivators that's being used to get these mercenaries to behead people is the fact that Armenians are Christian. In fact, Armenia is the first Christian country. Armenia declared itself a Christian nation in year 301, the first one to do so 11 years before Emperor Constantine of Rome declared Rome a Christian nation. So you do have Armenia that's sort of, above it is Russia and Georgia, which are Christian, but below it, it's all Muslim countries. And don't get me wrong, Armenia has had very good relations with, you know, Muslim and the Arab world. But in this example with Erdogan and Aliyev, religion does play a role. There are some people that are shy about making that statement and want to sort of stay away from that. But let's get blunt.
Yeah, my show is called, blunt right now.
My show is called The Blunt Post because I try not to hold back and filter myself. Let's get blunt. It does have to do with religion as well. You know, it's definitely a part of it. But it's also about land, and it's about regional power, regional dominance. Erdogan's actions, not just toward Armenia and Artsakh in the last several years, but having ISIS, you know, Turkey shelters more ISIS than any other country in the world. And using it against Syria and, you know, lately getting into Cyprus and Turkey, Cyprus and Greece. I mean, I was just reading an article that talked about basically what you were asking me, which is why isn't UN doing anything? And the writer argued that in the 60s, when Turkey invaded a sovereign nation, which was Cyprus, right? UN didn't do anything, and invaded literally, and they're still there. So it's really baffling, because Erdogan to me is the Donald Trump of the East. And what's baffling to me is they act like buffoons, they act like bullies and bulldoze themselves in. But the same leaders that talk a good talk don't stand up to them, or enough, and I'm talking about members of the European Union. I'm talking about the powerful European leaders like Putin or Boris Johnson or Angela Merkel, or them. Of course, again, French President Macron has been an exception. So it's a long battle.
It's a dire situation.
Yeah.
So what do you think can be done if the institutions aren't doing anything? Organizations that are supposed to be doing something, the United Nations, European Union, if they're not doing anything, what can the world do to intervene?
I think we've basically concluded that Azerbaijan and Turkey, they do not want a diplomatic solution to this. They do not want anything negotiated. And the only thing that should be done, which should have been done a long time ago, is for Artsakh to be recognized as an independent state. Okay. Now, Congressman Adam Schiff, Congresswoman Jackie Spear, Grace Napolitano, many members of Congress have called for the official recognition of the independent Republic of Artsakh. That's what should happen. When Artsakh is finally recognized, kind of like Kosovo, as its own independent republic, then it will be a game changer.
I have to interrupt you there because
Sure.
I think Azerbaijan has vowed that that is not going to happen. They're going to fight till the end to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Oh, no, I know.
I think I read an article in, I think Al Jazeera stating that.
Now, let me tell you how determined they are on your point. In the last year, when they were pre-planning this, Azerbaijan hired 6 lobbying and public relations firms to make sure that the members of Congress are lobbied so they don't do anything about it, and for these 6 firms to do media placements of lies and propaganda to confuse the public about it. So of course, Turkey and Azerbaijan are not gonna accept it or like it, but what choice would they have if nations recognize it? Now, cities around the world have one by one started to, right? Like Milan, Italy is an example about a week ago. Cities around Southern California are recognizing it. Cities and states and organizations are saying, okay, we're not gonna wait for our president or prime minister or whatnot to do it. We're gonna do it here, at least locally. And I think, and I hope that that would be a domino effect leading up to a full recognition of Artsakh.
So you do have a whole big slew of celebrities that have endorsed or lent their voice to this. How did that come about, and what impact do you think that would have in stifling this situation?
Well, how that came about is there are 2 brothers, Sarkisian, who are the co-founders of USA TV and Armenia TV, based in Glendale, right here in Southern California. They wanted to do something to educate American and the world, international audiences about what's happening. So they approached our mutual friend Nicole and said, what can you do to get the press to cover this? And Nicole, having known and seen me talk about this and me being Armenian American, approached me, and we discussed different options and such, and we came up with a celebrity PSA campaign, because we thought people always will listen to a celebrity for a few minutes just to see what they have to say. So the campaign is called I Stand with Artsakh and Armenia. And by the way, these 2 brothers managed to, with their own money, get 20 tons of humanitarian aid on a chartered plane from here to Armenia. They are doing tremendous work to help, to help humanitarian crisis. So going back to the campaign, so I Stand with Artsakh and Armenia, we started approaching celebrities and sort of saying, this is what's happening, we would like your help. And we launched the first of a series of campaigns The first one launched with Kim Kardashian and Serj Tankian from System of a Down, Ed Begley Jr., and Lawrence Zarian, and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already been launched, and we are now working on the second one. Congressman Adam Schiff, who I've interviewed a few times, did a video for us, and Oscar-nominated actress Sally Kirkland. And we're working with a few other celebrities for the second of the series to launch, to basically bring recognition to what's happening and get people to sort of put it on their radar.
I know education is the first step, because you've just enlightened me on so much, because I was reading and watching videos, and still it was very blurry to understand and not be able to comprehend how the world can just sit back and watch people be slaughtered, be butchered down.
Yeah.
So so after now that you have the celebrity endorsements, what can the rest of the world that is not celebrity, what can we do? What can an audience, someone watching this interview, what would you expect from them? What is your request?
Right. Look, I'm very practical in my expectations of a lot of people who, for whom it's not a pressing thing. And just like the timing of this was done strategically, because the Azerbaijan and Turkey knew that the entire world is preoccupied with COVID, and rightfully so. And we here in the States are also preoccupied with the election, rightfully so. So I understand that a lot of people can only do a limited amount of things. Things that people can do is share those videos. If you see a video about anything that's happening in Artsakh, or these PSAs that are going around in social media, share them, tweet them, things like that. Another thing is, if you see any kind of petition or anything like that, trying to garner votes or to get members of a parliament or Congress or whatnot to recognize Artsakh, share it, look at it, vote for it, do the action alert. These action alerts take a minute to do. You enter your first name, last name, email address, and you send it. And people might think that it doesn't make a difference, but it does. It makes a tremendous difference. So those are the things that people can do, and things that, but you are doing a lot more, because now you are using your voice, your platform, your magazine, and your show to probably let a lot of people who may have never even heard of it to now know what's happening. So we all do what we can in our capacity. It could just be a retweet, just a retweet. Yeah.
Trust me, now that I'm aware and more informed about what's going on, I will make sure that our audiences hear the story. It's very sad. There's so much going on. So where were you born? Were you born in Armenia? Were you born here, Vic?
No, so I have a very long, complicated story.
Really?
I'm Armenian. Armenians, through centuries of invasions and genocides scattered throughout the world, Armenia has more Armenians in diaspora than in Armenia itself. I was born in Iran. Then I went to Greece as a child, grew up in Greece for a few years, and I moved to the States on my 15th birthday. So I've, LA is home, US is home. To me, this is home, this is where I am. Yeah, I've been an LA native ever since. And yeah.
That is so amazing that you weren't born in Armenia, and yet you carry this cause so dearly. Why?
Yeah, well, because when you look at the history of Armenia, the prosecutions, the warfare, the invasions have been so constant and so much part of our history and our fabric that, grandparents tell their grandchildren about what they saw and what happened and the atrocities. So it's hard to not be affected by that.
Absolutely.
And the thing with Armenians is, until recently, I would always say, and I'm quoting someone, I don't know who, but the last act of a genocide is denial, right? Which you can say the last act of rape is denial, because you're further victimizing the victim, right? Unfortunately, in this case, we've learned that the last act of a genocide is the repetition of a genocide, which is what is happening. After 105 years, Turkey is determined to do ethnic cleansing of Armenians all over again. So when you are even fourth, fifth, sixth generation of Armenian genocide survivor, but it's still right in your face, you're always reminded of that. And it always brings these emotions up.
I can hear it in your voice.
That this happened to your people, that this happened to humanity, and it's happening not just to Armenians, but it's happening in so many different parts of the world that we don't hear about, we don't see enough. Sudan wasn't too long ago, and it's happening in Yemen. Saudi Arabia is basically orchestrating a genocide there, but you don't hear much about that. It happens in so many different parts of the world, and it's business as usual for a lot of people in power.
Yeah. What's your message to other Armenians in the diaspora?
Ask that again.
What's your message to other Armenians in the diaspora?
We'll get through this too. We've survived 8,000 years, and we will get through this too. I've seen a beautiful thing Armenians throughout the world have come together. There have been demonstrations and protests throughout the world in all four corners. Armenians have come together united to see that this is stopped and to bring recognition to it. And we will survive this too. And I know that. It's just we have to get through this difficult part. And we also have to, thank our allies like yourself, like Nicole, who are non-Armenian, because there are countless allies that are there with us fighting the good fight.
Certainly Nicole Muse, she's certainly a friend and an ally to all of us. So it gives me immense honor to bring this crisis to the forefront using our own platform. It's all about immigrant experience. And with you and other diasporans like myself from different parts of the world, we will not sit back and watch a genocide be repeated over again. So thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. And we will make sure that the word gets out ultimately.
Thank you, Pamela.
You're welcome.
Really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Opportunity.
Have a blessed day, and let's see what happens. And don't hesitate to draw my attention, as things progress. Media is power. Let's not be weary of other media platforms that may not be doing what they should do. Every drop of water makes an ocean, right? So stay strong, and we're together, and stay blessed.
Thanks, Pamela.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye. We've come to the end of our show. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I would love to hear what you think about our discussion. So please share your thoughts in our comment section or send me an email to publisher@immigrantmagazine.com. Now be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram @Anchang, and like us on Facebook, The Immigrant Magazine. See you next time on The Immigrant Magazine Weekly.